Imagine finding out that the absolute maximum price you are, legally allowed to sell your home for is actually being dictated by this bureaucratic tug of war happening hundreds of miles away.
Right. Which is wild to think about.
It really is. So, welcome to the deep dive. When you buy a home in a managed community, you usually think your property value is mostly about the local real estate market.
Yeah, strictly local stuff.
Exactly. You look at the curb appeal, the school district, maybe the current interest rates.
Hmm.
You rarely consider that your home's equity might be actively constrained by, like, top-down statewide zoning mandates.
No one really looks at that when they're touring an open house.
Right. But today, we are going on a highly specific mission to unpack a really fascinating document about the City of La Quinta's affordable housing mandates. We're going to discover exactly how these sweeping regulations from the state of California are directly impacting the equity, the home values, and just the ultimate future of one specific community, the 149-unit Watercolors at La Quinta HOA.
And, we tend to view our neighborhoods as these insulated little islands operating purely on local supply and demand.
Oh, absolutely.
But what we are looking at in this documentation is a really profound analytical look at how state laws force established, completely built-out communities to fundamentally change their physical and economic landscapes.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't just a localized zoning dispute. It is basically a masterclass in urban economics and regulatory pressure.
So we've got a detailed breakdown of California's regional housing needs assessment as it applies specifically to La Quinta. We have the city's geographical shortfalls, their funding deficits, and the incredibly aggressive countermeasures the city is taking just to keep the state off its back.
Yeah, they are scrambling.
They really are.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand the pressure La Quinta is under, we first have to look at the sheer scale of the math the state of California has handed them.
The math is really where the whole story begins, honestly.
Right.
Under California law, every single city is required to update what is called its housing element every 8 years. Okay. And the core requirement of this update is that the city must zone for its fair share of the region's housing needs.
And who decides that number?
Well, that top-level number is dictated by the RHNA, the Regional Housing Needs Assessment.
Got it.
Once the state determines the aggregate need, or regional body in this case, the Southern California Association of Governments, or SCAG, they allocate that total number down to the local level.
So it cascades down.
Exactly. And then the local city is legally obligated to figure out how to zone for it.
So La Quinta is entering what they call the sixth cycle, which runs from 2022 to 2029.
Mm-hmm.
And the state has just dramatically increased these housing mandates. I mean, the city isn't just being asked to build a few more houses on the edge of town.
Not at all.
They are legally obligated to provide the zoning, the regulatory framework, and the land capacity for exactly 1,530 new housing units.
Right. And they don't just get to zone for 1,530 luxury mansions, which, let's be honest, would be relatively easy in a highly desirable area like
The
that.
developers would be all over that.
Exactly. But the state breaks this mandate down strictly by income level.
Okay, let's hear the breakdown.
Let's look at the actual distribution of those 1,530 units. The mandate requires 420 units zoned for very low income.
Wow.
Yeah. Another 269 units must be low income.
Right.
Then you have 297 moderate income units. And finally, 544 above moderate income units make up the remainder.
Okay, let's group those numbers because that is really the crux of the whole issue for you, the listener.
Yeah, the percentages are what matter here.
Right. If you combine the moderate, the low, and the very low income requirements, over 64% of the city's entire mandate, that's 986 units, must be strictly dedicated to households falling below the above moderate income threshold.
And the so what for you listening right now is that La Quinta cannot just let private developers build whatever they think will turn the highest profit.
Right. They can't just let the free market handle it.
Exactly. The city is legally bound to ensure the vast majority of its new zoning capacity is strictly tailored for affordable housing, which completely alters the economic incentives for anyone trying to build there.
It sounds like the state just told a specialized high-end manufacturing plant that they suddenly have to quadruple their production volume using the exact same floor space.
That is a great way to put it.
And over 64% of the new product has to be sold at a severe discount, dictated by a remote board of directors. I mean, it completely upends the local economic model.
Totally upends it.
Just to put that 1,530 number into perspective, how shocking is this compared to what they are used to?
Oh, it's massive. Their target for the previous 8-year cycle was only 364 units.
Wait, really? Only
There,
364,
364. So they're being told to multiply their zoning capacity by more than 4 times, almost overnight.
which brings us to why La Quinta is struggling so badly to meet this new goal.
Exactly.
Because you can't just drop a quadrupled housing quota on a city's desk and expect the local geography to just easily absorb it.
No, the physical reality and the local history of La Quinta are actively fighting against this state mandate right now.
Right.
The source documentation points out some massive systemic shortfalls, starting with a severe lack of multifamily housing.
Yeah, La Quinta's current housing stock is overwhelmingly skewed toward single-family homes and luxury master-planned communities.
Right. Big golf course communities.
Exactly. The latest housing element update shows that multifamily units, so we're talking apartments, condos, townhomes, they make up less than 7% of the city's total housing stock.
Which is tiny.
It's nothing. And to build nearly 1,000 units of lower-income housing, you generally need high-density multifamily zoning to make the math work for any developer.
You absolutely do.
But they have nowhere to put them because the city is dealing with major geographic constraints. The documents describe the city as largely built out.
And being built out means future housing development has to rely heavily on infill projects.
Meaning what, exactly?
Well, it means squeezing new high-density buildings onto empty or underused lots right in the middle of existing, already established neighborhoods.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The alternative is pushing development down into the southern part of La Quinta.
Okay, why not do that?
Well, the southern part of the city severely lacks the established infrastructure. Things like roads, utility grids, and public services that developers rely on further north.
Ah, so it's way more expensive to build down there.
Way more expensive.
So the geography is fighting them, the current single-family housing makeup is fighting them, and on top of that, there's a crippling funding issue.
Yes.
The city doesn't have the money to just build these units themselves.
No. And this requires a really critical piece of historical context regarding the mechanics of local government funding.
Okay.
Years ago, the state of California dissolved local redevelopment agencies.
Right.
Redevelopment agencies used to allow cities to capture a portion of local property taxes to directly fund affordable housing and urban renewal projects.
So they had a built-in budget for this.
They did. But when the state eliminated those agencies to balance its own budget, cities like La Quinta lost their primary direct mechanism for funding affordable housing. Their checkbook was essentially taken away.
That's rough.
Yeah, so today they're completely reliant on private, third-party developers to actually come in, risk their own capital, and build the units the city is frantically trying to zone for.
And the California Department of Housing and Community Development, or HCED, is being incredibly aggressive with their enforcement, too.
Very aggressive.
When La Quinta submitted their initial draft for this 6th cycle, the state actually rejected it.
Flat out rejected it.
Yeah. HCD forced the city to up its minimum density commitments. La Quinta originally proposed 16 units per acre for these new sites.
Which is pretty dense for La Quinta.
Right. But the state came back and demanded mathematical proof that the land could theoretically hold a mandated number of people. They forced the city to increase its minimum density to 20 units per acre, just to legally prove they could fit the lower income shortfall.
Yeah.
Wait, I have to push back on the logic of this entire system.
Go for it.
If the state took away the city's direct funding mechanism by dissolving redevelopment agencies, and the city is already geographically built out with less than 7% multifamily housing, how does the state justify rejecting the plan and demanding even higher density?
I know, it's wild.
It feels like local governments are being squeezed from both ends. I mean, they're being commanded to do the impossible, but they're being denied the financial tools to actually execute it.
What's fascinating here is that you've just articulated the exact pressure cooker that local governments are currently trapped in.
It's a total catch-22.
It really is. That precise squeeze between rigid mathematical state mandates and the physical financial realities of local geography is exactly what forced the city of La Quinta to take drastic, highly aggressive measures.
Right.
The city isn't just trying to be cooperative here. They're operating under the threat of severe penalties if they fail to comply.
It's essentially the state threatening to put the city's zoning board into receivership. If a city is found non-compliant, they face something called the builder's remedy.
And that is the ultimate threat.
Right. If you don't hit the state's numbers, the state takes the steering wheel, Local control is stripped away, and developers get to drive the bulldozer wherever they want.
Completely bypassing local zoning laws.
Yes, as long as their projects include a certain percentage of affordable housing, plus the city risks missing out on vital state transportation grants.
So, faced with that impossible squeeze, the very real threat of losing local control to the builder's remedy, and the potential loss of vital funding, La Quinta fundamentally rewrote its rulebook in September 2022.
They had to.
They really had to. To avoid getting steamrolled by the state, the city decided to step in and act as its own real estate mogul. They are executing what the documents call strategic land acquisitions.
Let's look at the specific numbers on that because they show the sheer panic and, frankly, the determination of the city.
Yeah, the numbers are huge.
In February of 2022, La Quinta purchased 15 acres near Highway 111 for $8.6 million.
Wow.
And they kept going. In January of 2023, the City Council unanimously approved another purchase of 5.2 acres nearby, right at Highway 111 and Dune Palms Road, for $3.6 million.
So they're just buying up prime real estate.
Exactly. They utilized unassigned reserves and bond funds to pull this off. They are spending over $12 million of public funds just to acquire raw dirt.
But see, by owning the land outright, the city can dictate exactly what gets built. It effectively neutralizes the unpredictability of private landowners.
That makes sense.
Yeah. They plan to partner with a single master developer to turn these parcels into a mixed-use corridor.
Right.
They're branding it as retailtainment, so,
Yeah.
a blend of retail shopping and entertainment venues. But the crucial underlying mechanical requirement is that this corridor will include the high-density affordable housing the state is demanding.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The city basically had to become a real estate monopoly player, using its own reserve cash to buy up the board just so the state wouldn't flip the table.
That is exactly what happened.
And an affordable housing overlay that sounds like the city is essentially creating a VIP fast pass for developers to bypass their own local zoning laws just to appease the state.
That is the exact mechanism. To solve the density issue HCD flagged, La Quinta is applying this affordable housing overlay, or AHO, to various commercial and mixed-use sites, particularly along the Highway 111 corridor and the Village area.
Okay.
The overlay allows developers to build up to 30 units per acre by right.
Wait, 30 units per acre?
30 units per acre. And the term by right is vital here. It means developers do not have to go through the usual agonizing multi-year local approval processes, design reviews, and public hearings.
Wow, they just skip all of that.
Skip it completely. As long as the projects include the mandated affordable housing, they get the green light.
And they are strategically placing these overlays in very specific locations to comply with yet another state law. The Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing Mandates,
Sure.
or AFH.
Yes, the AFFE.
To comply with that, La Quinta is intentionally identifying housing sites in the northern and central parts of the city. They are deliberately placing lower-income residents closer to existing public transit, grocery stores, schools, and the library.
Which is a good thing.
Right. They are legally barred from just isolating these new affordable units on the outskirts of town where there are no services.
It is a massive, sweeping transformation of the city's urban planning.
It really is.
I mean, the city is pouring millions into land grabs, applying density overlays to prime commercial real estate, and trying to engineer entire new neighborhoods from scratch.
But with all this focus on new retailtainment developments, multi-million-dollar land acquisitions, and 30-unit per acre overlays, what happens to the people who already live in the city's affordable housing?
That is the big question.
What happens to the existing communities while the city is focused on appeasing the state with these mega projects?
Well, all these sweeping changes and zoning overlays don't exist in a vacuum. They are actively reshaping the environment surrounding the city's established affordable housing assets.
Right.
That makes existing communities, specifically the Watercolors at La Quinta HOA, more important to the city's overall strategy than ever before.
So let's talk about Watercolors, because this is really the local linchpin.
Absolutely.
If you are a homeowner in this 149-unit deed-restricted community, or if you help manage it, you are sitting right in the middle of this shifting paradigm.
You're right at ground zero.
Exactly. If you are sitting in your living room in Watercolors right now, this state math directly affects the equity inside your walls.
Because the city recognizes the value of maintaining its current inventory. To their credit, while they are chasing new development, they are also utilizing financial assistance programs to keep current residents housed and facilitate ownership transfers within these specific communities.
Okay, what kind of programs?
Well, they rely on overarching tools like the Riverside County first-time homebuyer programs and mortgage credit certificates.
And what do those do?
They basically provide tax credits to lower-income buyers to make mortgage payments more manageable.
But the most crucial tool for this specific community, which the source specifically spotlights, is the Watercolors Silent Second Trust Loan Program.
Yes, that one is huge.
This program directly supports buyers exclusively in this 129-unit HOA.
And a silent second trust loan is a really fascinating financial mechanism.
How does it work?
It is essentially a secondary mortgage that defers payments, so it just sits there silently on the books.
So you don't make monthly payments on it?
Nope. It is designed to cover the down payment or bridge the gap between the market rate of the home and what the lower-income buyer can actually afford.
Yeah.
Because the buyer doesn't have to make monthly payments on the second loan, their immediate out-of-pocket costs stay low, and that keeps the home strictly within the bounds of affordable housing parameters.
So what does this all mean? The core takeaway for you as a listener is that as La Quinta rapidly shifts its housing paradigm to favor this new high-density development along commercial corridors, Watercolors isn't just a quiet neighborhood on the sidelines.
Not at all.
It is a vital, already established piece of La Quinta's affordable housing puzzle. The city absolutely cannot afford to lose the affordable units it already has, while it is desperately trying to build 986 new ones to satisfy the state.
The source documentation makes an incredibly clear imperative. If you live in a deed-restricted community like Watercolors, you aren't just a passive resident.
No.
You are sitting on the front lines of a massive statewide zoning battle.
Wow.
The reality of a deed restriction is that the maximum selling price you are allowed to receive when you sell your home is mathematically capped.
It's locked in.
It is determined by the city's financials and those specific trust deed restrictions to ensure the home remains affordable for the next buyer.
Your personal wealth generation, your home equity, is currently tied to a mathematical formula heavily influenced by how the city responds to the state's RHNA mandates.
Yeah, you can't escape the math.
When the City Council votes to spend $3.6 million on bond funds for land at Dune Palms Road, or when they apply a 30-unit per acre affordable housing overlay to the village area, those aren't just dry articles in the local paper.
Yeah, no, they're not.
Those are structural shifts in the housing market that dictate the landscape directly surrounding your property. Homeowners and HOA managers absolutely must monitor City Council actions and local development proposals.
Synthesizing this entire journey reveals a really stark chain of cause and effect.
Yeah, walk us through it.
It begins at the state level with California and SCAG handing down a rigid, aggressive mandate of 1,530 units.
Right.
That top-down pressure collides with the geographical and financial realities of La Quinta, a built-out city with less than 7% multifamily housing, completely stripped of its redevelopment agency funding.
The pressure cooker.
Exactly. The resulting pressure cooker, fueled by the threat of the builder's remedy stripping local control, forces the city into multi-million-dollar land acquisitions and high-density overlays.
And it all flows downhill.
Yep. This wave of regulatory panic finally washes right up to the doorsteps of the Watercolors community, making your local trust deed restrictions and silent second loan programs a critical part of the city's desperate compliance strategy.
We obsess over paint colors, landscaping, and kitchen remodels, but the real invisible hand controlling the future of your neighborhood is literally a state zoning mandate.
And this raises an important question, something for you to mull over long after we sign off today.
Ooh, what's that?
Well, we've explored how La Quinta is buying up prime commercial real estate along major corridors like Highway 111, applying overlays to bypass local zoning, and building high-density residential units to meet state quotas.
Right.
But what happens to the future of the local tax base?
Oh, that's a great point.
If prime retailtainment space is ultimately heavily diluted with high-density residential housing just to satisfy an abstract mathematical mandate from the state, who eventually pays to maintain the libraries, the schools, the roads, and the civic infrastructure that all those thousands of new residents will inevitably rely on.
Especially if the commercial tax revenue that normally funds those services has been crowded out.
Exactly. Who foots that bill?
Trading retail tax revenue for residential mandates makes the municipal math very complicated very fast.
It really does.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Whether you're a homeowner in Watercolors, an HOA manager, or just someone fascinated by the hidden forces shaping the economics of our cities, we highly encourage you to keep a close eye on your local city council agenda.
Definitely keep an eye on it.
The rules of your neighborhood are being rewritten in real time. We'll catch you on the next one.